Our Facebook is acting a little funky. It's coming through though. All right, we are live on Facebook. Okay, so let's go ahead and hit recording. Excuse me, hit record on our webinar. All right. So I'm going to share my screen so everyone can see the presentation. Can everyone let me know in the chat that you guys can see my screen okay? That'd be great. Just hit it okay, or just let me know you guys are good seeing it. Okay, I'll take that as a yes. All right. Okay, so presentation mode. All right, so let's get started. We got some good stuff to get into tonight, and I appreciate everyone coming on. I know that there's so many other things that you could have been doing, possibly watching another television show or just hanging out with family, which is always good. But I do appreciate you taking some time out to sit with me for the next 20 minutes or so. So this is the Virtual Home Seller Workshop, and my name is Sid Stewart. Tonight we'll be covering quite a few things. We'll be getting into some details, going down history lane a little bit, but what we'll cover is tell you a little bit about a little bit about myself, the current housing market nationally, as well as what's going on here in Virginia and locally here in Richmond. We'll talk about the current recession that we're in and how, believe it or not, most recessions do not affect housing prices. And I'll show you that in a minute. And then how this recession that we're in won't, pretty much is already showing now that housing prices won't tank. And in most recessions, they don't. We'll also talk about home selling and buying in Virginia and strategies to do so. And then we'll talk about a plan going forward. So as I mentioned, my name is Sid Stewart. I'm with Fathom Realty. I was born and raised in Philadelphia. Go Birds. I'm a husband and father of 3 wonderful children. A 5-year-old, a 12-year-old, almost 13. So we have 2 teenagers. Please pray for my wife and I. And I will have a 14-year-old tomorrow. I have multiple years of experience in the real estate industry. I perform great market expert in investment properties, as well as first-time home buyers, as well as folks who are looking to downsize. I consult and do help with strategizing for helping folks to get into homes, sometimes creatively. I also am invested in strategic partnerships within the community. So let's talk about the housing market really quick. The housing market in Virginia, or just the economy overall in Virginia, is generally strong. We do know that we are hitting some financial strongholds, or I should say financial setbacks right now in the U.S. However, in Virginia, we generally have great companies such as Capital One, CarMax. Up in Northern Virginia, you have big companies, a lot of government agencies. Capital One's also up there. You have Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac. There's a lot of big companies. It's actually just Freddie Mac that are in Virginia. So there's, and overall, our economy in Virginia itself is pretty great, especially when it comes to purchasing and buying homes, as our economy tends to hold up housing values. This is a quote that I love. I always love sharing with folks, especially on my seminars. This comes from Will Rogers. Don't wait to buy real estate. Buy real estate and wait. It's definitely not a get rich quick scheme where you can make money right away. I'm going to show you in a moment here just why that is across the US. For folks who have purchased, they're seeing great appreciation in their home prices right now, which is creating wealth for them and their family. This slide here is speaking to the home equity status for homes all across the US. Please keep in mind this is on a national level. This slide actually, the data on this slide is coming from Bloomberg as well as from Atom Data. So if you take a look at this slide, it's pretty amazing. I don't think a lot of folks realize this when it comes to their homes. At least 53.8% of homes in America have at least 50% equity, which is amazing. And I don't think a lot of folks know that they're sitting on tremendous equity. So from Bloomberg, they say that 37% of all homes are owned free and clear, meaning they have no mortgage on their property at all. So they're actually sitting on cash or an asset where they could either liquidate it and make money back from it. But I don't think a lot of people are really even aware of that. And what Adam says is 26.7% of the mortgage homes in the US have at least 50% equity. So if you think about that, that's a great gain in wealth that you probably invested into your property during the time that you have purchased it, depending upon when you have purchased it. So as I mentioned earlier, we talked about a recession, and a lot of folks want to know, is there going to be a crash just like in 2008? Because in 2008, housing prices tanked. I think a lot of people know that, but as we'll get into it, the housing prices were mainly dipped due to housing being the cause of our last recession back in 2008. But first, let's break down the definition of what a recession is. A recession is simply an economic slowdown. This includes two consecutive quarters of an economic downturn within our economy. Just last week, it has been confirmed that the United States is in a recession. That came out on CNBC. They also talked about it in Yahoo News. But it has been confirmed that we are currently in a recession here in the States. But how does a recession generally impact housing? Let's take a look at the last 40 years and see exactly what was happening in the past recessions here in the US. This slide here comes from CoreLogic. It's the home price index. So if you take a look at the last recession that took place in 1980, and please keep in mind that these numbers that you see on the slide, they're on a national basis. So it's not just here local in Virginia or Richmond. But the home price changes during the last 5 recessions, you can take a look at it here. 1980, home prices still appreciated 6.1%, even though we were in a recession. In 1981, they went up by 3.5%. And in 1991, they decreased a little bit by 1.9%. But if you take a look at your cumulative wealth that you would have gained between 1980 and 1981, going all the way up to 1991, you're still up in equity on your property. In 2001, that's when 9/11 hit. We also hit another recession. However, home prices went up by 6.6%, which was pretty amazing then. But in 2008, let's take a look at that. That recession was caused by housing, which caused home prices to decline significantly by 19.7% to be exact. There were multiple houses that were out on the market during that time. So there's way more inventory than there were buyers, which caused housing prices to actually fall. It's all about supply and demand. Some basic economics. This slide here, and stay with me as we go through this, guys, but I'm going to paint a picture for you, showing you why this recession that we're in is nothing like 2008. So this is also on a national average, and this slide comes from, at least the data on this slide comes from Black Knight, which is another big financial institution up in New York City. So annual home price appreciation. Let's take a look at what happened prior to 2008. Home prices continued to climb year after year after year. In 2000, in the early 2000s, they were at 8.6%, 8.5% in 2002, 8.7%, and at its highest point in 2004, it was at 12.5%. Banks were overvaluing the prices of homes to allow Americans to use their homes pretty much as ATMs. They gave a false value for what homes were actually worth, and they were giving loans to people no matter what they were in terms of a job. I know folks who were buying homes, $500,000 homes, and they had $40,000 annual salary, which doesn't make much sense. And how is someone like that going to make a mortgage payment? So I would say that we had some tricks played on us by the financial institution back then. But if you take a look at what happened after 2008, so 2014 through 2019, home prices were pretty steady, as they should be. They rose at 4.4%, and at its highest point in 2017, which was just a few years ago, they were at 6.4%. Just last year, they're at 4.7. But as you can see, as a country, our financial institutions, they learn not to kind of take advantage of folks, and a lot of regulatory things have been put into place to try to hedge against that as well. Has Americans going on the right path of where home values should generally be? Normally around 3.5%, but as you can see, they still ticked up a little higher, but nothing like prior to the crash. This slide here comes from the National Association of Realtors. This slide is really speaking to the months of inventory of homes that were for sale. So in 2007, as I mentioned, that was right before the housing crash. It was all leading up to it. Or it was 2007, 2008, the housing crash really hit. So there were 8.2 months worth of inventory that were actually out on the market. So it was all about supply and demand back then too. We had folks who were being foreclosed on by banks, people who were walking away from their homes, and banks had no idea what to do with the houses. And you just had folks who just couldn't afford the houses for the mortgages that were provided to them. And because of that, you had a humongous influx of inventory within the United States. Generally, we want, as realtors, around 3 months worth of inventory. That's a normal market for both buyers and sellers. But if you look at today, on a national average, there's 3.1 months worth of inventory. So that's way lower, much lower than what it was back in 2007. Right now, if anything, we have a shortage of homes here in the inventory for buyers to purchase from. And I'm going to get into that a little bit deeper, just to show you that as we get deeper into the numbers, this what it shows what's here locally in Richmond, because our inventory is even less than that. And I'll prove that to you guys in a second. So this slide here is coming from Freddie Mac. Freddie Mac is a sister company to Fannie Mae. And Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac, what they do is they help provide liquidity to the marketplace. So when you buy a loan from your mom and pop mortgage company or Bank of America, Wells Fargo, any type of organization like that, what happens is if they give you a $200,000 loan, they'll generally sell that loan that they created for you to Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac so they can make their $200,000 back and create more loans. So that just gives you a little bit of background of who Freddie Mac is and what this slide is actually going to tell you. So the slide speaks to the total home equity cashed out by refinance. And this is please keep in mind, this is in the numbers of billions. So prior to the housing crash in 08, 07, you can see that in 2005, folks were refinancing on their home. They were taking out $263 billion in 2005. At its highest point in 2006, folks took out $321 billion in refinancings. They were taking cash out and using their homes as ATMs. As I mentioned earlier, homes were being overvalued, which allowed banks to lend more money and for folks to take more money out. I know, as I mentioned earlier, I'm from Philadelphia. I'm a big Eagles fan. It was a long time before we got to the Super Bowl. Not the previous Super Bowl, but the one before that. So in the 2005 season, we had gotten there. The Super Bowl was down in Jacksonville. Super Bowl tickets were $5,000 a piece. And folks were taking out mortgages or taking cash out of the house just to go to the Super Bowl. And they weren't buying just one ticket. So they were buying multiple tickets. They were flying down there, partying for the whole week, as well as for hotel stay and whatever else they did while they were down there. But if you would think about that, that doesn't sound too wise to use your house as an ATM to pull it out just to be able to get Super Bowl tickets to go to a game. But as you can take a look at what's happening currently, 2017 through 2019, as Americans and as our financial system, we wised up. We've learned our lesson not to get too greedy when it comes to overvaluing homes or using our homes as ATMs. So the most cash that has actually been taken out during 2018, which was at $87 billion. So as I mentioned before, folks are taking out multiple lines of credit. They were taking out cash from the homes, which they couldn't pay back. And because they were also taking cash out, they were getting foreclosed on. So that was also compressing home prices. So as I mentioned earlier, you saw there was way much more inventory during that time, than there is now. This slide is talking about, this slide actually comes from Keeping Current Matters. They're a great company who compiles a lot of financial data within the housing market. And what this slide shows is the major financial institutions and what they're calling our current recovery as an economy. It's speaking to our GDP, which is our gross domestic product for the United States. So if you think of every inventory in the United States, such as the housing, the housing industry, the airline industry, the car industry, all those different industries together, they all make up the GDP for the United States. But what they're calling right now for recovery-wise for everyone, for hopefully our country to come back, is a V-shaped recovery. So in the first quarter here, you can see that gray line there is representing that V-shaped recovery. So as I mentioned, we're already in a recession right now. So in the first quarter, you see that our GDP starting to decrease, as well as in the second quarter. So once again, we talked about you need 2 consecutive quarters to be in a recession, which we are now in. But at the same time, what they're predicting, and I've been keeping up with the financial news, they're already saying that we're digging our way out and we're already heading towards that V-shaped recovery. So hopefully not a second wave of COVID hits in the fall or in the winter, but they're predicting that we'll be going straight up the roller coaster ride as we go through the third and fourth quarter of this year. So how has COVID impacted the Virginia housing market? So let's get a little bit local here to be able to see some things. This slide here is coming from Showing Time. Showing Time is the system that us realtors, we utilize to be able to show homes. We book appointments through this system, and it allows us to be able to coordinate with the listing agents so we can show their homes to our potential buyers. So this slide is speaking to the national average for the United States. So to give you a big picture of what's happening, this is before and after COVID. The orange line represents 2020. And the blue line represents the activity for people looking at houses and showing homes in 2019. You can see around March 10th, just right after that, COVID hit. And there was a humongous dip in the market in regards to folks who were actually going out to look at homes. There were, which made complete sense. We had stay-at-home orders in place. We had folks who definitely they couldn't go out. And in some states, you weren't even allowed to sell real estate. I know, like I told them back, I'm from Pennsylvania, they were shut down completely. They couldn't do anything. So it was quite difficult in certain states. But take a look at what's starting to take place now. That orange line has surpassed the blue line for what took place back in 2019. So there are more people going out to view homes now, and it hit an all-time high. It actually hit the mark around like June 2nd, but it has surpassed that. So there's a lot of pent-up demand for folks who are wanting to go out and buy homes. So for individuals like yourself who own a home, or for people you know who you know that own a home, it's a great time to sell because there's a ton of folks who are actually going out to look at homes now. And this is just on a national average. This slide shows you Virginia. So we're getting a little bit more local now to show you guys what COVID looked like beforehand and after. So just like on a national average, pretty much everything dipped in March. So take a look at the orange line. That's speaking to what's happening in 2020. The blue line is speaking to the 2019. We started to kind of climb out a bit the tail end of April. And as you can see, we're continually going up. We're almost to the point, it's about maybe 3% off for the blue line meeting the orange line. So we're about to meet the same point of where we were previously. So the urge for folks to want to go out and buy homes is taking off, and the market is extremely, extremely hot. This slide here is coming from our MLS system, which provides us the housing data that takes place locally here in Richmond, as well as in Henrico, Chesterfield, pretty much just think about the whole Richmond metro area. But this slide here is only particularly speaking to what took place in the month of May in terms of new listings, homes that sold, how long it took for a house to sold. We're going to dig into that a little bit. This is going to give you a great understanding of where you would stand or where our current housing market stands with houses being sold. So that's the first column here, excuse me, the middle column here where it says May is comparing May of 2019 to May of 2020. So new listings that have taken place, it was down 29.3%. There were 396 new listings, and there were only 280 new listings in May, all because of COVID, which makes complete sense because folks are trying to stay safe, and some folks just are kind of weary and not knowing what's happening in the marketplace. And that's one of the reasons why I want to share this information with everybody this evening. If you take a look at the pending sales right underneath, that's also down 12.3%. So there were 310 pending sales compared to 217 pending sales in May of 2020. And pending just means that the home is actually under contract, that someone has put an offer on it and both parties have accepted the offer. For closed sales, there were 237 in May of 2020 this year, and there were 287 last year. So it's down by 17.4%. Even though these numbers are definitely down, we'll take a look at what's about to happen in a second. So the days on market and that for how long it took for a house to sell in 2019, it took a house on average 26 days in May. This year, it's only taking 19 days. So that's down by 20, rounded up to 27%. It's taking way less time for folks to actually sell their homes when they're putting it on the market. That's eye-opening. The median sales price for the city of Richmond itself, in May, it rose by 13%. So the median sales price for May was $300,000 compared to $265,000 from last year. As you can see, as I mentioned, we're in a recession, but yet it looks like housing values are going up, right? The average sales price was $341,000 in the city of Richmond. So it was up 9.3% from last year of May 2019. The percent of original list prices received. So if you think about if someone asks for $300,000 for their house, 98.7% of the time, they got what they asked for. So you might as well round that up to 99%. So folks are pretty much getting what they're asking for when they're putting the homes on the market, as long as it's priced correctly. So there's really no change in that year over year. If you take a look at the inventory of homes for sale, so remember I was showing earlier there were way more homes for sale. There was way much more inventory back in 2007. Just last year, there were 427 homes available for sale. Now this year in May, there were only 261. It was down 39%, just rounding numbers up, which is a significant shift. So there's no inventory out there for buyers to buy. But however, we saw on the previous slide, folks are going out to buy. They want to buy homes, and they need folks such as yourselves to sell them, to be able to transition. So now more than any time is a great time to sell. You don't have to have, as you can see from the numbers here, you don't have to have as many people coming through your home, which cuts down foot traffic. It also shows that your home won't take as long to sell, and the numbers don't lie. If you take a look at the months of supply of inventory in May of 2019, there were 1.9 months worth of inventory, but now we're down to 1.1. Remember earlier I showed you guys on a national average, we were at 3.5 or 3 point something, and in Richmond, we're at 1.1. So there's not very many homes. That's a 42% decrease in homes that are available right now to sell. Down below, you'll see the condos and townhomes. It's the same numbers, and they're pretty much they're a little bit closer there. I think the big thing I wanted to point out here were it also took much sooner for a house to close that was a townhome. It took 34 days compared to 50 days, so it was down 32%. Days on market until the home actually sold, it was only 16 days, so that was down 44%. You can round it up to 45%. The median sales price was $213, so that was slightly down by 4%. But if you take a look at the average sales price, it went up by 3.7%. So housing prices are still continuing to climb. A lot of folks are saying that housing is what's going to bring us out of our recession because it creates so many different jobs in so many different ways. Inventory of homes for sale, there were 76 in 2019 compared to 60 in May of 2020, which was down 21%. Again, inventory is very low. And there were 2.1 months worth of inventory for May 2020 compared to 2.2 of 2019. But one other thing I just want to point out really quick while we're on the slide before we move on, if you take a look back up at the top in the single family section, if you go all the way over to the right for year to date. So year to date, this is really speaking to, it's comparing January of 2019 to January 2019 through May of 2019, and it's comparing it against January 2020 to May of 2020. So pretty much from year to date, it's comparing year over year. And new listings were actually down, of course, by 12.6%. A lot of this has to do with COVID. Pending sales were also down. They were down by 5.8%. Closed sales were down. But the days on the market, take a look at that. That's down, but that's a good thing for anyone who's looking to sell right now, because you don't have to keep your house on the market for so long and worry about multiple people tracking through your home. The median sales price, it actually rose by 8% compared to last year. The average sales price actually also went up by 10%. So the value of the average sales price just in Richmond alone went up by 10%. That's significant. And the percent of original list price received, remember how we saw in May, it was pretty much flat. But if you look at from January 2019 through May 2019, compared to January through May of this year, it's up by at least 0.4%, which is significant. And pretty much the same thing, if you take a look down below at condos, you're going to pretty much get the same picture. It's pretty eye-opening when you take a look at the data. But if anybody's looking to buy right now, if anyone's looking to sell right now, there are tons of buyers, because I can give you a real life example. I have clients now who are interested in homes and they're flying off the market in 2 days or less, and homes are getting multiple offers on them. So how to buy and show homes in your market now. Home showings in today's climate, and we're just going to speak about this a little bit. So, and I know because COVID's going on, so folks they're curious, how are folks actually showing homes right now? So step one, buyers normally will view the homes and will view a home online by looking at photos and videos. They'll also drive by the home and investigate the neighborhood. I have clients right now who are doing the same thing. They don't even go and take a look at the inside of the house yet. They'll go by and just investigate, just to see if it's worth going in first. They'll also, buyers will virtually tour the home through a Zoom call or even a FaceTime showing. This also helps with keeping the foot traffic down within a seller's home to keep them and their family safe. Step four, if the home is still in contention, if a buyer is still interested in it, then an in-person tour is arranged utilizing precautions, which include a 2-person limit and the use of gloves, mask, and shoe covers. So just to let you guys know, this is definitely legit, because hopefully you can see that I have masks for my clients. For people going in, that we have booties to put on people's feet so they don't track stuff all through the home. And we also have gloves. So we have everything that you pretty much need. We have all the PPE that's needed to be able to show homes safely and effectively in this current environment. And I provide that with no cost to my clients as well. So how do you buy your next home? Because you're like, Sid, I mean, I hear all these folks who are getting multiple offers on their homes. If I get a quick offer on my home, how can I go about even moving fast enough to find something, right? I'm glad you asked. So the same way that buyers are going by and looking at houses now, you can view homes safely from the comfort of your house, from the comfort of your couch, by virtual tours. You and I can connect in terms of doing a video through either Zoom, just like we're doing now, walking you through the house until you feel comfortable if you want to go through with purchasing. One other big thing a lot of folks are doing now, and this is another reason why I believe houses are flying off the market. Some folks are going to see that some folks are buying homes sight unseen, meaning they'll put an offer on the house, but they'll do it subject to inspection. So once they go subject to inspection, and if the offer is accepted, then they'll schedule the inspection and be able to walk through the home to see if they're comfortable. And they can always pull out if there's something found in an inspection that they can't agree upon with the seller's own for things that need to be fixed. So those are some ways that you can view homes now. But what I advise a lot of my listing clients to do, to start your home buying process as soon as you list. So in this environment, because we know things are flying quickly, there's not very much inventory. This is an environment that you need to be able to start your home buying process quickly as well. So as I mentioned, Zoom meetings are very helpful to be able to show homes, have home showings done through Zoom, view homes through Zoom, as well as conference meetings, and definitely schedule those types of things with folks as myself. So what should you do now? And we're almost wrapping up, guys. If you're looking to sell your house now, start preparing it now. Do a deep clean, declutter your home. I'm working with folks who can come through and actually help you to stage your home. They can help you to declutter, tell you what to move where, what things should be removed to help your home showcase, just like a model home. Just like if you're watching HGTV when you see a makeover. Give your walls a fresh coat of paint, lighten things up, replace light bulbs, clean curtains and lampshades, and give your yard some love, spruce it up, especially during this time of the year, because we are in the summer months. So you can definitely see where there's patches and things like that in regards to possible landscaping issues. So definitely just plan out some shrubs, something that's not too expensive. You can cheaply get those from Lowe's or Home Depot. This is a bonus that I wanted to be able to provide to you guys. So if you are looking to list, these are ads that your realtor should be running that actually work. So this was an ad that I ran just beginning of last year. I continually run them all the time. I just pulled this one out. For this ad, we were targeting buyers who were living in the Richmond metro area. So this house was actually located out at Glen Allen. We had 2,367 folks who actually viewed the ad. 300 people actually clicked on the link to go look at the property on its own website. And 15 folks actually signed up to go to the open house. So ads like this are definitely beneficial when selling your home to be able to get the maximum exposure for folks to be able to see it. Because I'll tell you right now, I don't think there's any way, nor would I want you, I'm sure you wouldn't want 2,300 people coming into your house. So folks can at least see it, you can narrow it down, and then be able to have a safe way, or at least a safe amount of folks safely through your home and not having more than needed. So right now, we're not really doing open houses just due to the fact of COVID, but we are doing virtual open houses where we schedule a time still market that event where we can have multiple people on there and view the home, and one person, just such as myself, walks them through it without them all having to pile into your house. So a lot of the things I like to tell my clients is learn how to invest into your future, right? So if you are looking to sell your home right now, definitely look at your 1 to 3 to 5 year plan. So understand why you want to do so. Are you looking to downsize? Are you looking to upgrade? Are you needing to take cash out to possibly put kids through college? There's a lot of different reasons, right? I know folks who like to do a thing that's called house hacking. They live in one home, they actually rent it out, and then they move on to the next one. They purchase the next house, then they rent that one out, and it's just a snowball effect so they can create wealth for themselves. Just think about your why. And just also think about how do you hope the sale of your home will help you get to where you want to actually go. The next step for sure is being able to schedule a consultation with myself to be able to go through your needs and what your goals are to help set you up with a solid game plan. And definitely our next step would be setting up a game plan, take a look at resources, roadblocks, tools, and opportunities to help you get started with selling your home and even moving forward with purchasing your next. So I want to thank everybody for coming out tonight, and because you did come out tonight and you showed up to the presentation, what I'm offering right now, because you could have been doing anything else with your time, for the next 48 hours, I'm offering my free book, The Top 10 Mistakes Sellers Make, and I'm going to give it away for free. Only thing I ask you to do is book a free consultation, and we're going to go over your game plan, talk about your needs, talk about what you're looking for in selling your home, and maybe even what you're looking for in your next step after you sell your home. If you're looking to purchase again, if you're looking to rent, just be able to talk through your actual needs and your goals going forward. So just go to the website down below, workwithsidstewart.com, and book a free consultation. And then, like I said, you're going to receive the free book. But there's also some great bonuses that I'm giving to folks who only for folks who sign up for the consultation. They're so great, I can't even provide them to you here on this webinar. It's just too much to actually go over. But I'm doing it right now for a select few of folks who sign up for the consultations. There are far few and in between, but I am providing some humongous bonuses, as I mentioned, that I can't share on here, but I am still providing you the free book when you do book the free consultation. There's no cost at all, and we'll just be talking through your goals. You can connect with me on social media. I'm on Facebook, YouTube, Instagram. I'm also on Twitter as well, and these are my handles. Our office is actually located out on the West End. This is my email address, my phone number, and that's my website. And that's me, of course. And I just want to be able to answer any questions now that you guys may have. So I'm going to leave that up here for you guys, and I'm going to drop it into the chat to the site so you can be able to get there if you would like to book the free consultation. But I want to be able to answer any questions that you guys have right now. If you want to drop them into the Q&A section or into the chat, I would definitely love to be able to answer any questions. So that's the site to be able to go and book the free consultation on. I'm going to stop sharing now. And I'll love to be able to get any questions that you guys may have. So I know there might be a little bit of a delay, or you might be typing your question out right now, but I'm just going to give it a few minutes to be able to see if you have any questions. You can ask me any questions in regards to selling your home right now. What's that like? What would it look like when you're purchasing or moving on to the next one? Just go ahead and ask any questions that you may have. All right, as you guys are typing here, I'm gonna flip over to Facebook real quick to see if we have anything there. See if we have anything. It's still coming up for me. Sorry, guys. Zoom tends to make things move a little bit slower sometimes. But it's still coming up to see. But if you guys have any other questions on the seminar, please let me know as I still continue to try to get Facebook up. I'm sorry. Now, here we go. So what happens when you're the one-man camera crew and kind of running everything? Doesn't look like we have any comments there. I'm gonna drop the just for folks who are watching on Facebook, I'm gonna drop the webinar, the consultation link into there as well. All right. And we'll go back to Zoom. And if looks like I'm in the Q&A, I don't see any questions. All right. You guys are on the ball tonight, I see. All right. So I just want to thank everybody for coming out tonight. If there's no questions, if there are any, you can always just give me a call. Here's my number. Drop that into the chat there. And my email address is that's my email address as well. And I also take those same things and drop them into Facebook really quick. But if you guys don't have any other questions this evening, like I said, I really appreciate you coming out this evening and taking a few moments to be able to hear the information that I provided. I greatly appreciate that. And I pray and hope that you guys have a great week. And if you have any other questions in the meantime, don't hesitate to give me a call or even email me. But once again, go ahead and book the free consultation. As I mentioned, you get the free book, and I'll tell you all about those other great bonuses that I'm offering to folks while we're on the consultation. So once again, everyone, thank you for coming out tonight, and have a great evening. You're welcome, Angie. I'm glad you appreciate it. Great stuff. Good stuff. I'm glad you appreciate it. All right. Have a great evening, everyone.